Hello, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys. You are now entering Season 2 of the Swan Hockey Podcast. Swan Hockey is flying around the junior hockey world one episode at a time. You'll experience things dreams are made of, as well as things of terrible nightmares. Strap in, hold on, and enjoy the ride. And now, Swan Hockey.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Swan Hockey. We are in Season 2. I am Eric Swanek, and we are joined by Nick Skerlick, the head coach and general manager of the Maine Nordiques in the North American Hockey League, and fellow New Jersey native. Nick, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. Thanks for having me on. Excited to finally get on the show here with you, Swan.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. And can we talk about real quick how good New Jersey's doing? Like, New Jersey's obviously been doing very well in the player department, but if you look at the North American Hockey League East Division, there's a lot of staff from New Jersey, right? We got you in Maine. We got Johnstown. We got Gary Biggs, Adam Hooley. We got Justin Friedman with Philadelphia Hockey Club. Craig Doremus should still be with Rochester.
Yep.
New Jersey's pumping out here. Lenny in Danbury. And honestly, everybody used to be a Titan as well.
Yeah.
With the exception of Hooley, I think.
Yeah, well, he was at the 87s, but don't forget too. I know he just got dismissed there, but Dom Minocchio was also coaching. At one point, I think we had 6 New Jersey head coaches in our division when Dom was with Elmira. So yeah, I was actually thinking about that a couple weeks ago. But I just think that's a product of, what the youth programs in New Jersey are doing for not just players, but also coaches, and giving them the vehicle to drive player development amongst, the multiple leagues we have. When I was coaching for the Titans, the AYHL was king. There was no THF yet. So I just think the programs are doing really well that down in the Jersey area, North Jersey, South Jersey, Central Jersey. And it's a lot of fun to see, playing Adam this weekend. So I just spent some time with Adam this morning, and it's always fun to coach against your friends that I can say at any level too, even if it's summer hockey. It's always fun to coach against your good friends and guys that have kind of grinded through the things you've grinded to get to the level you're at.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of makes it easier for everybody, to hopefully work together too, especially with the state that junior hockey's in now, where I think it's very important for coaches to be able to work together for the betterment of the league, whether it's on certain player trades or, different things like that, because obviously we are in a crazy time right now. I think, and what's really impressive to me is I think the North American Hockey League is kind of the last man standing in terms of tier 2. They're really kind of the only ones that haven't deviated away from the tier 2 model. Not the only ones, but they're, for me, the North American League is, definitely at the, top of the totem pole for tier 2 junior A hockey, them in the BCHL. But, you have a lot of Canadian leagues that have gone pay to play. Obviously we see what's happening with the NCDC. The North American League has kind of stayed true to what tier 2 is. For me, I don't know, it's just an interesting observation.
I to be honest, I could tell you a couple things about that. Our commissioner of our league, Mark Frankenfeld, he holds the organizations to a very high standard. And the owners who get into this league, they have to love doing this. No one is getting rich owning a North American Hockey League team. They're doing it for a couple of different reasons. I'd say there's 3 reasons why people own North American League franchises. The league does an incredible job in the off season getting the coaches together and the owners together. We get a special trip for the head coaches every year. It follows the NHLCA clinic. So last year was in Toronto. The year before was Vegas. The year before that it was Nashville. And we go down for 3 days. All the head coaches go down and we get 3 days with each other, and we sit in a boardroom for 8 hours. And Mark gives us the floor for 2-3 hours. And we really hash things out. Not so much organization, but, if you would, customer to league type of standpoint. And we know what the kids are looking for. We're the ones recruiting. and we are able to all share our recruiting battles with leagues like the BCHL and now with the CHL being eligible for college hockey, it's taken a whole new turn. I think that's the one thing our league does really well that kind of keeps its strength, not only on the ice but off the ice, is the professionalism that the league mandates from the top down, from commissioner to league office to ownership to coaches to players, is the reason why I think you're seeing the North American League, like you said, still standing. I think we're climbing still. As this new chaos landscape of junior hockey is evolving, I think the NAHL is just getting better from the standpoint of, the quality of people involved in the league. Obviously, commitments are down, which is frustrating. But I tell people all the time, yes, the league is maybe not what it was 2 years ago, but we're talking about one player, maybe two players per team that are now, playing in the USHL or Major Junior. The league is still uber competitive. And I think the organizations are still doing everything they can to make it as professional as they can possibly run a program.
Well, see, and I think, like, for me, it's almost like two separate conversations. Like, yes, like the commitments, the Division I commitments may be down, but you could still have a great product, right? Like, it's two separate conversations. Like, it could be a great product with great development and great experience for kids and, and great experience for fans and, coach development, everything, and the placement avenue might just be a little bit different. Okay, so more guys are going D3 instead of D1, right? It could still be a great environment. It could still be a launching pad to, maybe guys go up, like you said, to USHL or to the CHL. I know you guys are in a really, interesting location for that, being in Maine there, where there used to be a team in the CHL. So I think, and for me, again, like just the product, the experience and the opportunity that it offers players to develop. Like I said it this morning in a reel, players really need to prioritize development and performance as opposed to, chasing titles.
I think that is what's wrong right now with just the general, I have a hard time here because, like, listen, we want to win as coaches, correct? Like, every coach wants to win.
Of course.
And the higher you go, the higher level you're coaching at, you need to win or you're going to find yourself jobless for a little bit until you find a new job. But I can't stress this enough. I coach, obviously, the Maine Nordiques, and our captain, I'm just going to use him as an example. I'm not going to name him, but he was a kid who played in the NCDC 2 years ago. He had 25 points in the league. That summer, I'm looking at all the 60-point guys. I'm looking at all the 50-point guys. And I get an email from a player who really wants to play in the North American League. I love what he said in his email. I'm not an offensive-minded player. I'm really big on face-offs. I'm really good between the dots and the D zone as a centerman. I'm 6'3". So we tried him out in the Chowder Cup, and I loved him. I truthfully loved him. And he's now the captain of our team. Last year he had 18 points. And these kids, all kids are choosing these levels to play a year junior into getting into another league. We get questions all the time from kids like 07s and 08s. Hey, coach, I'm playing in, this league. I see that you might take players in the draft from our league, like, want to get on your radar. I just don't know what happened when I played junior hockey 10 seasons ago. It was to go play Division III college hockey. Now I feel like junior hockey is kind of taken the route of, and families are taking the route of, okay, if I could play in this league for a year, I can age out in this league the following season. And in regards to that, like, there's so much more to than where you play and how well you do in the point category. Every coach loves to use the word details. Like, I feel like that's a word that's used too often. But truthfully, you need to play somewhere where the level is challenging enough for you to be able to improve your skills every day, improve your mindset every single day. It's not, hey, I'm going to go play in the NCDC because, the NCDC best players go to the NAHL the following season. I think that we've all gotten away from that, and parents and players and even advisors, they've all gotten away from this. And I feel like there should be more conversation on to which tier 2, tier 3 leagues are launching kids into, successful D1 and D3 programs. More so than, hey, kids from the OJ are going to the NA. I got to go play in the OJ. Well, I'd argue, hey, go play in the OJ. And if you like your experience, why don't you just stay in the OJ, especially with today's new landscape, I feel like most NAHL players are going to end up Division III anyway. So even if you stay in the OJ and maybe dominated for your age-out season, what's the difference? You're going to be playing with and against NAHL players for 4 years in college. And I just think the whole concept's gotten a little silly, in my opinion.
Yes, and I think it's because everybody has to. The problem is everybody's looking for that yellow brick road to the top. They're worried about the future, right? As opposed to the here and now. Like, you have to live in the moment, and if you live in the moment, like, everything kind of takes care of itself. Like, what I've always told players is when you're picking a place to play, you need to pick a place that you're happy to be there. If you're going somewhere and you're already planning your escape before you even get there, and you're going there with the mindset and the mentality of, okay, all right, I just got to play here for 30 days and I'm probably going to get called up, and all right, it's been 10 days. Like, your head's not there. Your head's in the clouds. You're focused on the wrong things. Like, that's not a healthy environment. You're not going to reach your potential. Go to somewhere where you're happy to be, that you truly believe is best for your development, and everything else is, it takes care of itself. Like, cause you're going to be, the idea is that you're at the top of your game, you're having fun, you're enjoying what you're doing every day. And when all those things are clicking into place, that's when the magic typically happens. And what I always tell players too, and families, is, it's not about a specific path or league, like league A, B, C, D. Like, it's about the top of all those paths, right? Like, you have to be a dominant player somewhere. Right. And it's the best guys at every level move up. The bottom guys at every level, they're typically done. Right. And that goes for, the CHL too. You don't get anything for playing bad in the CHL. Right. You get cut from the team. Right. Same thing in the USHL. Everyone, you don't get anything. You don't get a Division I commitment for playing bad in the USHL. You get cut from the team. Nobody talks about those guys. Right. You
correct.
You don't get anything for playing bad. And that's proven every year at the NHL draft. That's why I love the NHL draft, because it's not about one specific league. It's not just, oh, we love the OHL. Okay, take every player from the OHL. No, they're taking guys from they're taking the best guys from everywhere. So that's why I always tell, to your point, is you got to go somewhere where, and like, you just got to live in a moment. Just play, and you got to perform, because at the end of the day, like you said, I don't know, probably about 10 minutes ago now, or 7 minutes ago, coaches want to win, right? So in its simplest form, if you want to move up to a higher level, in its simplest form, prove to a coach at a higher level you could help him win games. That's it.
It's spot on. It really is. And this is the first year I started taking players from the midget level. If you look at my former 2 years East Division finalist teams, I've transferred at least 5 kids over from the BCHL. This year, I believe we have one for right now. We have one player from the BCHL. I went younger. I have 4 07s, so 4 18-year-olds. I've never had an 18-year-old ever for a full season. So I've gone younger. I will tell you, I get the warm and fuzzies when I go to bed at night, seeing some of these kids, that a month ago, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm sending him back to midget, or I'm sending him to the NCDC. And now our team's starting to develop a winning way, a winning culture, a winning path. And these kids are center point of it. They're the babies of the team, but they're awesome. The guys love them, and they're getting better, and they're getting confident. And going back to what you said, like, plant your feet in the ground wherever you're standing. Our assistant coach last year in Maine, he's an old timer, coach D1, coach D3. His name's Stan Moore. He said it, best life is what happens while you're making plans. And you know what? At first, I'm like, okay, that's a little corny. It is so true. And it's true. It's true in its purest form. You just said, kids think they got to go somewhere, and in 30 days, I'm going to get a call up. If you're not helping that team win, you're not producing. If you're not producing, you don't have to worry about a call up. And I feel like parents and advisors and players need to almost be making decisions based off of how many kids the year prior started and finished the year on a team. That's probably where you want to go. Whether at any level too, right? Whether it's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, that's what I'd be looking into, because those kids, they enjoyed it enough where they stayed the full year. That means the culture's strong, and if the culture's strong, that means the coach is probably doing something right. Even if that's getting every kid on the team to hate him, at least every kid hates him together.
There's a team.
Yeah, and that's where I get, kind of flustered, and I'd love to be able to help every kid out possible. And that's why I love doing the summer hockey stuff, because I don't have to write an email that's going to come back to haunt me, because I talked truth about a tier 3 program maybe I heard about somewhere in the world. I love to just be like face to face with kids, and I'll put them in touch with other players who I've had that have maybe played at a certain destination. Just pick his brain. Kids are your best recruiters at any level, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, college. It does not matter. Kids are your best recruiters. Your players are your best recruiters. And I think that's kind of something I've always lived by for the last 5-6 seasons I've been doing this. But it's just, I feel like everyone's starting to kind of get sick of the whole, new team popping up here, new team popping up there. And that's, I don't want to, disrespect anyone that wants to start a junior hockey team. But all it's doing is it's just creating more uncertainty on everyone, players, parents, advisors, coaches, league, commissioners, owners, everybody. So it's going to be interesting as things keep evolving here. There's no question.
Yeah, and like another problem that I think that people are gonna find that nobody's really talking about right now is with all the expansion. And I mean, first off, like I'm all for as much free hockey as people want to provide. People want to keep expanding and make it tuition free, by all means. Let the whole world play for free. It's great. But with all this expansion, the other problem that I think people are going to start to realize is that it's going to make it very, very tough for higher levels to pull players up and to scout them. And the reason why is because as things expand, what happens? The player pool goes from a concentrated area and it now expands across the country, right? So where we may have had, a group, like if you take the EHL, for instance, right? They were always a hotbed for Division 3, where Division 3 coaches knew, okay, I have a limited scouting budget. I'm planning my trip. That's going to be a good concentrated area for me to go. Now you got those players that are, chasing different things, are going to play for some of these NCDC teams that are, I use the term team loosely, and those players are now spread out the country. These teams can't afford to make, 100 different trips watching every single kid. If that dense population expands, those kids, a lot of them, they're just flat out not going to get seen. The coaches are just going to go pick the next best area. And it's not just the EHL, it's everything. Like you look at, you might have a guy that's in the NCDC in a certain area that doesn't like his playing times. Now he's asking for a trade. He's going to play for a different team. That's, again, everything's spreading out, and the teams in college or in junior that have lower scouting budgets, they can't cover the whole area. And I don't think anybody's realizing that yet.
You're spot on. And I'm one of those teams that has a low scouting budget. We don't have, I get text every weekend from advisor A, B, C, D. Hey, you're going to be at this USHL event. Hey, you're going to be at the NAPL event. Hey, you're going to be at the Beast event or the Northeast. My answer to them every weekend has been no. Like we don't get out. It's a small staff. I like a small staff because, there's more understanding on what type of player we're bringing into the Maine Nordiques. But I'm just going to go right ahead and say it. I caught a kid in 07 from Ontario who's playing on an NCDC team in one of those expansion divisions. He's got 2 points a game. And now I'm sitting here going like, okay, we didn't take this kid to our all-star game. I know I'm one of 33 or 34 NAHL teams, and I get that. But, our all-star game was young, and it was fast, and it was quick, and a lot of those kids ended up back at 16 and 18 tier 1. But I have this boy who was a very skilled player, very behind pace, and he's got 2 points a game in the NCDC. I looked the other day, he's still at like 1.4 points a game, which is an unbelievable season for any player at any level. And that's not taking away anything from the player. That's not taking anything away from his teammates. But how the heck am I supposed to expect to scout that division now? Why am I going to look at that division knowing that a player that we've already kind of said, we like him. Yeah. He's not going to be ready for what we do here. Maybe he plays in the NA one day as an age out or a 19-year-old, but that kid is top 4 in your division in scoring. It's kind of really polluting the waters of recruiting, like you said, and that's where I do think it's going to level out the playing field, though. I think it's going to be hard recruiting for everybody, and people are going to bring in kids that they just missed on, that they thought might have been more impactful than they actually were. And I think now you're going to see a changing of the guard every year, at least in the North American League, in the USHL. All the leagues, I think you're going to see more changing of the guard. But I use the term too, and I've used this pretty frequently. Like with the NCDC expansion, the NAHL expanding a few years ago, you're just adding more first lines. And that's not necessarily a good thing because there's not that many first line players on the planet. You're just adding more first lines. And I'm a big fan of a deep hockey team. I am. I love four lines going. It's harder to find the third and fourth liners at my level right now that truthfully want to be third, fourth liners and that want to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so happy you just said that, because it was a question that I was, wondering the answer to. I said it in an earlier episode this season of the podcast that I think that, all levels, but, I think the North American League is getting harder to recruit because of, not only because of because of these things that we're talking about now, but also because of the new shift in the hockey landscape and guys going to the CHL and now having some guys go up to the USHL. The North American Hockey League has to dig deeper into the scouting pool. And, like I said on an earlier episode, everybody knows who the top guys are, right? Like everybody knows those guys, everybody's fighting for those guys. And then, the middle ground, it's like, that's where the scouts really make their money, right? Like getting those questions right at the middle group of players. And now I think the North American League has to dive deeper into that middle group, and there's more opportunity for mistakes to be made. And what pointed that out to me, and I could be wrong with this, but what I thought I noticed at the beginning of the season was more blowout scores in the North American League than in years prior. Like we've had a few games. I think a couple go double digits and, close to double digits. And I think that was just a product of just more mistakes being made on the recruiting end, because it's kind of a little bit of uncharted territory, and it's getting harder to recruit, I believe.
To piggyback off what you just said, I'll give you a perfect example. I'll use my team. We started the year 5-0. Started getting dinged up, had a couple suspensions. We dressed 4 players differently than we had the first 5 games. Like we got forward 13 and 14 in, we got D7, 8 in, and we got goalie 2 and 3 in. Those 2 games we used players that were rookies that had not played in our league before. We lost 6-2 and then 8-0. That's a 5-0 team getting blown out back-to-back nights. That has never happened. I remember sitting there and, everyone kind of knows my style. It's not a hidden secret. I'm not a happy camper when we don't show up well. And I'm sitting there and I'm kind of kicking myself. And for the first time in my young coaching career, I'm not like, hey guys, we're awful tonight. What the heck is going on? I really did feel like, okay, I had question marks on these couple of players, and I just validated my fears. They weren't ready for the league. I did not get enough of a look on them. I didn't know much about where they were coming from because the landscapes were changing. And I was rewarded with, a -10 through 2 nights. And it kind of was, going off what you said, it was my first knuckle sandwich in recruiting. And recruiting something I don't do a ton of it. Like I don't get all up into the film. I'm big on trends and I'm big on conversations when I talk to kids.
Okay.
That was the first time in my 5 years where I felt like I knew it was coming. The kids earned their way onto the team. They had great training camps, but I just didn't know enough about it. And, those players had short stints with us. They're playing in more developmental leagues now. Some of them are back in midgets. Some of them are back in Hockey Canada. And that's fine. Maybe we bring them back next year. But what you just said is so spot on. It's harder to recruit. We're making more mistakes. We were the victim of one of those lopsided scores. We lost 8-0, our worst loss in program history of 6 years. So, it's case in point. And now, I get advisors all the time. Hey, man, you got to tender this kid and tender this kid. And I am an NAHL GM who does not throw out a single tender until April 15th. I do not tender kids before April 15th. I use all my tenders in a 2-week span because I don't want to tender the kid from midget who's lighting it up. Let's look at the other side of the Swanner. If Eric Swannick's lighting it up for Carshield's 18 AAA team, he's 2 points a game. He's doing fantastic. Carshield's ranked 8th in the country. Kyle O'Kane's doing a great job with his group. What's not to say you're going to make the USHL or the BCHL after I tender you in October?
Right.
And that's where recruiting gets really hard with this landscape. All of our coaches in our league don't like the BCHL. I've gone the other way. I try to be nice to those guys. They don't really screw with me during the season. Some of those teams I've worked with in the past of like, they give me their cuts, or they give me their overagers that don't make the age out rule. It's just been really hard to recruit. And that's where I think I see tenders getting signed all the time. And sometimes they're guys that I'm after. And I have to swallow the pill and go, I wasn't ready to commit to this player yet. Therefore, I got to be able to put my head on the pillow and fall asleep at night, not going crazy over it. But yeah, the recruiting's just going to get harder and harder as more of these teams keep popping up, more of these divisions keep popping up. The pay to play versus non the pay to play, I think it's absolutely salty. You have teams and divisions that are charging 10 grand and other teams charging $0. Like, how is that a fair playing field for the player, for the family, for the college coach trying to go recruit that player? It's just, I really wish there was a little bit more police work on this stuff.
Yeah. You want to hear a crazy part too? I had a coach tell me not long ago that some of those, or, a couple of the pay to play NCDC teams, they're not even charging the kids to play, or they're charging a very, very minimal amount, because apparently, I know this was the case in the beginning. I guess it's still the case. The pay to play teams can have a bigger roster. So they're going in as quote unquote pay to play. And again, it's not everyone. I don't think, trust me, people are paying to play in the NCDC, right? So let's not get this wrong. Like, people are paying to play in the NCDC, but I think there's a couple teams that they're, from what I was heard or what I was told, they were accusing a program or two of entering as a pay to play team to get the bigger expanded roster, and then still letting the kids play for free. So just more kind of just craziness. And I'll tell you what, get Nick.
There's another rule too, and I don't know the fact, maybe you do. Something about draft picks and tenders, even on the pay to play teams, I don't think need to pay. And I don't know the true rule, but an NCDC coach was walking me through this 2 weeks ago. And I was releasing a player, and he's explaining this to me. And I was like, but you're in a pay-to-play division, so what does he have to pay? And so we protected him. He was a draft pick or a tender. I can't remember. But even that was like, okay, this is getting really hard to figure out. And the kid ended up going to the NCDC team. I just didn't know if I should send him up to the CJHL versus the NCDC. So I just think there needs to be a level playing field. I mean, even not even the NCDC. Let's step away from that for a second. There's rules on tier 3 contracts too. I think there's a standard minimum. I know there was in the NA3. I'm not sure what the EHL is doing. When they were tier 3, I knew there was a standard minimum being so close to the 87s. But even that's the same deal. You've got these Latvian kids and these European kids coming over paying nothing, maybe not even a billet fee. And it's just kind of, I don't think there's any way to police it. And like you said, I don't want to take free hockey away from kids that aren't at the true free hockey level. Like, if you can get free hockey, more power to you. It just makes it very hard and challenging to clean up some of the mess we're all living through right now.
Yeah. And teams will, like, there almost needs to be it's like a reverse salary cap is what it is, right? There needs to be some way to cap the, advantage or whatever, because I had a team one year that they took the kid to the bank and they handed him cash. The kid put it in his account and then he paid his contract. So on paper, he paid to play, but it's just crazy. Like,
good for that program to do it. Good for the kid, and also good for the program for at least attempting to make it look legit. Like, I don't, I just think that if every kid could play for free, it'd be fantastic. That's just not the world we live in. And, I was blessed enough that Rocky Russo, who's the head coach of the Lincoln Stars now, scratched me my age out year for most of the playoffs, but it was the number 2 ranked team in the whole country. And that's when the USPHL Premier, which is now the NCDC, and the EHL, they were all pay to play. We were all paying to play. It just felt like there were so many good options, and every team was putting kids in Division 3. I mean, the EHL that year, we had like 6 draft picks in the NHL, the 98 Rockets group. So it just makes so much more sense to kind of go back, look 10 years ago and say, this is how we were successful. Why can't we get back to that? I scratch my head often, I really do. And
it's all marketing, right? Like, it's all just slapping a new title on it. And that's what's important for people to understand. Like, like I said in the reel this morning, like the guys at the top know, like nobody's getting tricked. Like when the dust settles, you can't cheat the system, right? It could be the smoke and mirrors and illusions, but when the dust settles, you can't cheat the system.
It's a good point. And that's as a player too, like you don't want to cheat the system, because I always ask kids too, like, and this is more at Maine camp when we're doing our exit, we do an exit interview with every single player. And I know that's why our main camps are typically strong. People like our main camps because we'll take 5 to 8 minutes with every player. I always ask you, do you like, you want this? You think you want this? You want this for the Instagram? You want this for the half shield? You want this for, the friends and the girlfriends, whatever reason you want it. Do you know how hard it is once you get to that level if you're not prepared? There's nothing worse, and this has happened to me. I made Team New Jersey as a senior in high school. And I don't know if you remember the America Showcase. It used to be the Chicago Showcase, and then it went to the America Showcase in Pittsburgh. And I made the second Team New Jersey team, and I was so pumped for this one. I was like, dude, this is awesome. I worked hard to make this team. I got a call a week before the event. They're like, hey, you're going to play on the top team. I was actually the kid who was like, oh, boy. I don't think I'm ready for this. And I wasn't. It was miserable. I had 0 points in 6 games at the showcase. I remember getting, and I was a big kid, I remember getting hit by some smaller kids that were way more physically stronger than I was, because I wasn't working out in high school. I wasn't at that part of my development yet where I thought it was important. So I wasn't ready for the level, and I had a miserable America Showcase, like the highlight of my amateur career, the end of my amateur career, right before I started playing junior. I was miserable. It was a long 6 days. I remember being in the car going like, I don't even know if I want to play hockey anymore. Like I was so out of place. So I ask kids that all the time when they're having a tough exit interview or they get released, like, do you want to continue to be the guy that's doing everything just to be at the lower end of the totem pole for a 60-minute game? I think that answer needs to be no. But right now with social media being what it is, people want to take the higher letter just to say they're there. And I think that's where we're struggling as coaches to get kids to understand. And there are a few kids, I'd say 10%, and I call them the real beauties. There's 10% of hockey players that are still the real beauties that they will consider playing at a lower level, and they're going to compete their butt off every night. And those are the kids as D3 college I'm looking at. Like they're proud of where they are. They're proud of the logo they wear. We've just gotten away from that. And that's what I'd like to see come back.
Yeah, it's just a lot of chasing because again, to kind of what you said in the beginning of the episode, people are saying, oh, if I can get on this team, well, that can get me here. When no, that's not true. Dominating on this team can get you there, just like dominating on many teams or many leagues can get you there. Like, cause I always ask players when players are like, oh, well, I want to go to, we'll use your league, for example. Oh, I want to go to the NA because they move guys Division I, and even though I'm going to be a 4th line guy or, in and out of the lineup scratched, like, it's a really good opportunity. But, my question is, okay, but if you can't be a top line guy in the NA, how are you going to play Division I? Right? Like if you can't play here, how are you going to play at the next level? Right? Like you need to develop, and you're going to develop by playing.
You're just simply not going to. And, reading, watching some of these Instagram lives, like advisories are doing, or someone like yourself, you do a live, like there's these comments of kids asking you questions. And my favorite one's like, hey, I'm a 16, 17-year-old kid from, Ontario. I'm an affiliate of the junior A team up here. Like, should I play in the BCHL to get to the USHL, or should I play in the NAHL to get to the USHL? And I sit there and I'm like, buddy, you don't know how hard it is. You talk about these leagues like it's just you're stepping. It's literally taking a step upstairs. It's not that easy. We just got off the bus after 11 and a half hours of Johnstown yesterday. We got off the bus at 9 o'clock, and our meal wasn't ready. And these kids are starving, and now they're required to go to morning skate. The rink is beautiful here, but it was still like 4 degrees outside. These kids are going to be expected to play in front of thousands of people tonight. And we expect perfection. It is hard. And I just feel like people are talking about these stepping stones of junior hockey, acting like they're going to go out there for a stick and puck, wheel around, shoot pucks far down on an empty net. And I'm sitting here going, man, if you guys only knew how hard this was. And I'm not saying that the NA is the greatest league. I would argue that our league is the most competitive, top to bottom. There's no off nights in our league. And not to mention, we're a one official league. You know how hard it is to play with one official? You know how much crap I see behind the play in our league? And I hate to say it, we don't teach our kids to hurt other kids, but we are absolutely teaching our kids to walk the line. Hey, when we're up, when we clear a puck, that ref's looking up ice. Like, don't be afraid to give someone a little whack on the calf.
Yeah.
And you get these younger kids who are like, I'm going to use this league as a stepping stone. Well, man, you're going to be playing with bumps and bruises for 35 of those games. Bumps and bruises you didn't even know existed. You're going to have them. I just wish that everyone could have the opportunity to see how hard it is for one game, and then this would all go away. But we're obviously never going to have that wish, and that's where it's guys like you that get the word out, that get the honest word out too, I think are so important, and the integrity is so important to keep that at the highest level right now, because anyone could pop in, become an advisor. Anyone could pop in and be a junior coach or a midget coach. And they're just going to rinse and repeat what they hear on these podcasts and what they hear on the NHL interviews. They're going to use the same vocab. You mentioned Craig Doremus. I love Craig Doremus because every year he changes his vocab. It's unbelievable. He uses words that I'm like, I don't think that makes sense. I'll go Google the word. And I'm like, oh my God, that word is like, he talks about conviction one year, and I'm like, conviction? Like, what are we talking about? Convicting? Like, that is someone who's going outside the box to hold up the highest end of integrity. And I hope Craig understands that, he was unbelievable for the NAHL. He still is. Yeah. He's going to be unbelievable at higher levels. And those are the people that, you want to affiliate yourself with, people who do it the right way. So you actually can get the correct pathway to college, whether it's D1, D3, D1 club, D2 club. There's no shame of going to a college and getting your degree and getting your education and then getting to wear your school's uniform on Friday and Saturday nights at any level. I think that's so special.
Yeah. And, and again, I think everybody, and I'll say this in closing, and I'll throw it to you for, if you want to close with anything. I think that everybody just needs to calm down. Just calm down, develop, and perform, and don't focus. Again, live in the moment. Don't focus on the future. Don't focus on, if I can get here, get there, get there. Focus on living in the moment, and I want forward progress, whatever that may be, right? And that's going to look different for almost, for pretty much every kid, right? Forward, or for a lot of kids, like forward progress, and because you just want to keep moving forward, regardless of what's going on around you, right? We're in a crazy time right now where junior hockey just got flipped upside down. You couldn't really plan for this. But the guys that are dominating, they have no problem right now. No matter what shift or realignment or anything, the guys that have been dominant over the last couple of years and are just running 100 miles an hour forward, those guys have no problems. None of this realignment makes a pinch of shit a difference for them. It doesn't affect them because they're top players, they're top performers. Those are the guys everybody wants. So just be a top performer, focus on your development, and just have fun.
That's grass isn't always greener on the other side. And like you said, I keep going back to that. Put your feet on the ground where you are. Yeah. It's so important. Yeah. No, it's so important, so special. And I truthfully believe that unfortunately a lot of kids who are still playing junior hockey are missing out on what should be the best 2-3 years of their life because they're so concerned with getting up the higher level. Yep. Dominate every day. Every day is so valuable when you're playing junior hockey. Whether you're getting a bag skate in or it's just a skill session with your team, or even if you just have some open ice, like you're going to be in college in a few years and you're not going to have those luxuries. And then after college, you're going to be playing on Monday through Friday night at 10 p.m. And you're going to think back to those days and go, man, like if I was just content and proud of what sweater I wore and wasn't so concerned about the next season, you would have gotten way more out of junior hockey than you actually did. And I thank all the coaches that I ever played for. I thank all the junior teams that I ever played for. I played 5 years of junior hockey. And of course, my college years, so 3 years of college hockey at the NCAA level. All those people, I listened to every word. I soaked in every word, whether I liked what they were saying or not. And I truthfully believe that has gotten me to where I am today and is kind of given me the knowledge I needed to be successful with players and help these players out. So, thank your coaches too, man. Like, let them know you appreciate. If you're happy where you're at, thank your coaches. Let them know that you appreciate where you're at. That is a good stepping stone to dominating the level you are at. And you continue to do the right things, not just 1 day a week, not 2 days a week, but 7 days a week. You will get to where you want to go to, and don't plan that path. Like that's something that we've got to keep discussing as coaches and advisors and just hockey people. And I hope that we can see everything calm down. I love that you said we just got to chill out.
Yeah,
it's so
seriously.
Like, take a step back, grab the wall. You're in a room. You're not drifting into outer space. Let's just all relax here. So I love that we're ending on that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Nick, thanks so much for doing this. We'll have to do it again.
I loved it. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, dude. Everyone, remember, we'll keep the conversation going in the Discord. Until next time, I will see you guys.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Swan Hockey Podcast. We remind you that season pass points are available to listeners. For more information, please visit www.swanhockey.io. Until next time.